All right, hello everybody. Hope you're having a great Wednesday night. This is January 8th, 2025, in case somebody watches this at a later time, so you know what day it is. All right, let's see. I'm hearing myself through Facebook, so that must mean it's working. All right, so on all the platforms out there, we appreciate you watching, Facebook, YouTube, 13WMAZ Plus app, all that stuff. Okay, let's get right into it. Still with the same thought that we've been having for the past couple of days, and that is of some sort of wintry mix. And that's still what we're calling it, which can mean something between rain and snow. That can be sleet, freezing rain, maybe some flurries, or maybe a mixture of all three of those things. There's the winter storm watch, which went out a little bit earlier, which does show the usual suspects when we're dealing with these things, and that would be North Georgia, mainly I-20 northward, and always clipping Jasper and Putnam counties. So as far as the National Weather Service is concerned, they're not issuing anything yet for us. So our northern tier of counties, again, may be in part of this. Now, there's some models that are just really keeping everything up here. But then there are also a couple trustworthy models that have it more down into our area as well. So we'll see. Sometimes in these events, because forecasting a winter storm in the south is incredibly difficult, you will see changes and edits made to watches and advisories and things like that. All right, so there is a look at tomorrow. Obviously, things are looking good. Let's go forward on the timeline. This takes us into Friday morning. Again, we had some questions last night. What does this color mean, this color, and this color mean? Well, this is rain and green. Obviously, the yellow going to be a steadier, heavier rain. The white is going to be snow, and then as you get more into the purple shades, the darker it gets, the heavier the snow would be. Same thing, light pink to darker pink would indicate a heavier wintry mix. That is the boundary between what is frozen and what is not frozen. So here, this is the latest graph. We'll have another one coming out the next hour or so, hopefully. So you'll see that you see a couple of spots here. This is 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. Maybe some flurries, we'll see about that. Before I go any further too, I want to tell you, where is that? I wrote that down. Some of the temperatures for overnight into Friday morning. Just reading some of these off, all right? So this is important. Let's see, the graph model, which is this one, has us at around 31 as we go overnight, 31 to 33, somewhere in there. So that's why the model is trying to figure out what this is going to be. So keep that in mind. Very important that we're right around the freezing mark. Now, as far as the GFS is concerned, it has us at around 33. So mainly just a cold rain, but very marginal. And then I think, which doesn't make any sense, the Euro has us at around 29 overnight, but hardly shows anything here other than rain, which you'll see in a minute. But when you look at the blend of models and everything, it puts us in the mid-20s. So it's all going to really be the track of this low. The farther south this thing is toward Florida, the better if you're wanting to see something winter-like. Puts you more in the cold sector. If the low tracks farther toward the north and the center, you know, then all of your cold stuff's going to be up on top, and we would be with the rain underneath. And that's another reason why we're right on that line. All right, let's go forward. This is 8, 9 o'clock in the morning, and you can see once again the mixture of something. Maybe this is flurries, maybe this is sleet, maybe some freezing rain. And there's your rain down here. Now keep all this, how this looks in mind when I show you some of the other models, all right? So this is 10, 11 o'clock, noon Friday. If this is right, and this is a graph. This is the one that you see me show on the news all the time. This is our main short range model. This is our 3-day model. After that, then you'll see those blobby blue and green comparison models there, the GFS and Euro, the American and the European models together for long range stuff. So this is a model that you're used to seeing. And it's pretty good on a lot of things. So we'll see how it does on this winter storm here, where it's showing, again, a mix. This goes into noon to 1 o'clock. The idea is as this low is pulling up, we'll start to, the colder sector will be up north, and there may be a little nose of warmer air here to come up that would turn this over into rain as we go through the day here on the timeline. Let's go forward. And on this, in the last couple of months, actually for the past few days, it's been, well, past 2 days since we've gotten into the graph, it's been consistent with showing something similar to this. It almost takes it out as far as the rain is concerned as we get into 2, 3 in the afternoon. And then at least by later in the day, all models are consistent, showing it changing over to some sort of rain, cold rain. And all of that, as you know, depends on a drop of a degree or two, and it's a totally different thing. So as we go through these, confidence up top up here, North Georgia, very, very good. pretty medium confidence here as far as seeing wintry like stuff. Our area is still kind of on the low confidence end. A little higher confidence on that we could see some wintry stuff from kind of Macon northward. There is Friday night. And again, most of it at this point for us looks like it should be rain. And there's around midnight or so, and then the last little bits get on out of here. Let's see. All right, this is the high-res model, or the HRRR as we call it. This shows around, let's go back a little bit. This is 3, 4 o'clock in the morning coming in. This one updates a lot more often than the other ones. So what you're going to see here is something that even the last one didn't show at the 6 o'clock news, is some flurries maybe in here early in the morning. We go forward. It's that weird, why is there green here? Why do we go from snow flurries to back to sleet and freezing rain with this little bit of green? This just shows you the technology is not perfect. So it doesn't really make any sense that you would have the onset there and then all of a sudden you'd see some green, and then we're kind of back to a wintry mix / snow thing going on 8, 9 o'clock in the morning. So the models are having a tough time figuring out how this is going to go. The fact that we even have the technology to get this close is pretty amazing. But a lot of this stuff, when you get into these winter storms in the south, is what we call nowcasting. It's more of like when it's happening. So like we know when we know. We can kind of go ahead with what we think is going to happen. And all this is what we think is going to happen. And just trying to take the averages of these models each run as they come out. There is 10, 11 o'clock in the morning. Possible flurries, possible mix, possible rain. And again, that same kind of trend as we go through the day, where the colder part is lifting toward the north and we're kind of in the rain sector as we go through the afternoon. So if that's the way this is going to play out, as far as building a snowman, well, I mean, I don't know how this is going to play out, but if we even had something that was on the ground a little bit, if this changes over to rain as we go through the day into Friday night, well, then that's kind of game over. But I think probably the bigger question is travel. Should we be on the road? Should we have school? All those kinds of things. And I've seen very marginal things like this when they come through to where it's like, it's mainly kind of just our northern counties. I don't know. Let's just kind of keep an eye on it. I think there's enough showing because the models have been at least consistent in showing something. They haven't really given up on it. Now you're going to see one or two they're not showing much in just a second. This is the GFS model, the American model. Shows some pink here. This is Friday morning on the timeline. There's around mid-morning to noon. Again, this could be sleet. This could be freezing rain. There's 1 or 2 in the afternoon. And that same sort of pattern as we get into the afternoon and evening, we start to kind of lift up into a turnover to a cold rain event. And then there's also, by the way, the question, once we get on into late Friday night, overnight into Saturday morning, how does that look? And I'm looking at the GFS is the warmest Friday night. It kind of keeps us in the 40s as that low comes through. But other models are showing us around 31, 32. So then you got to keep an eye out for that. Is there something that could refreeze on the roadways overnight, Friday night into Saturday morning? And then you can see that one gets on away as we go through. This one, all right, so these last two, if you're wanting kind of a winter weather event, these are not really your friends. This is the European model. And I think this is what the Weather Service is leaning more into here, is because if you look, let's say kind of a line right along here, which is about where that winter weather watch is up here. As we go forward with this one, notice how everything kind of wants to stay in that spot that I've seen it 100,000 times. It's always I-20 north, just out of reach. Jasper, Putnam, maybe Hancock counties, and kind of stays there and then moves away. So if the Euro is right, then we don't see much here other than cold rain. Borderline. But also keep in mind, which is kind of wild, looking at Friday morning, at the last Euro run that I saw, a low that morning of 29. So this same model, and that might be where we get that little brief shot of something sleet, freezing rain, some kind of wintry mix, is if we're in the upper 20s to low 30s here for just a little bit, and then it starts to warm up as we go through the day. And then the same thing, everything pulls away as rain, and then maybe a flurry or two left over on the back side. And then that leaves. Okay, let's go to the last one. This is the NAM model. This is the one that we don't show a whole lot, but I will kind of look to it sometimes for winter weather events. This one is showing nearly nothing for us. So you see, it's not fun being a meteorologist some days because of stuff like this. There's that same line that I just draw right along through this. It's just drew. So now you're looking down here, nothing. This is mid-morning Friday, early afternoon Friday, and then oddly, Friday afternoon, Friday night, it tries to throw a couple of pink shaded areas down here. We'll see what the next run shows. So that one doesn't even make a whole lot of sense lining up with the temperature profile, but there's the rain switch over, and see, that doesn't make sense. You get into the later hours where it's even colder, unless that low is pulling up with some warm air there. So what is the takeaway from this? Or the best question I hear over the past couple of days, what's really going to happen? So what's this really going to do? And the answer to that is we don't know. And there's no one that can tell you that they know that either, because not just in the South, winter weather events are very difficult to forecast for, but especially where we are, we're always on the edge. For going on 28 years, always, that's all I've seen is just always on the edge of this. It seems like there's some sort of mysterious line right along through here. And sometimes it's a little bit higher up here. So let's just leave those two right there. And let's say, okay, well, if that's the way it normally looks, that's at least of note that we're seeing color underneath that normal kind of line that we usually see. So again, that's why we keep watching it. And every time one of these graph model runs or the high-res model comes out, we're paying attention to see, does this change? Does this start to turn green and catch up with other models and push everything to the north? So far, it hasn't done that. It keeps this stuff down here. Again, anything that's not green or yellow for heavier rain, anything that's in these shades, that's something wintry. Snow colors, sleet, freezing rain colors. Oh, that's funny, Ashley. I like that. We should make a t-shirt of this. So I should just stay home Friday because Ben Jones doesn't know, and that alone scares me. Oh, no, that's not scary at all. Oh, Chan. Throw in the shade. Bill Powell would know. I bet Bill would tell you he didn't know either. He'd probably say, well, no, I'm not going to do an impression of Bill. Everyone will tell you this. I mean, even Peachtree City National Weather Service, this is a head scratcher. Every time one of these comes through, it's model by model, hour by hour, trying to figure it out. So it's going to be wet Friday night, Holly says. Yeah, I would think, I mean, there's a 100% chance pretty much of precipitation Friday, let's say that. So either way, we're going to have rain or something, and even if we have something wintry or frozen like Friday morning, it's looking like it would change over to rain as we go through the day. Unless, and sometimes you see it, where all of a sudden the models miss the temperature profile, and from the surface all the way up, it ended up being below freezing, and next thing you know, all this is something else. And then everybody's surprised. They're like, oh, wow. Let's see, we don't need an ice storm like 93. Nikki, that's exactly right. I don't want that. Samantha going all dumb and dumber there, so you're saying there's a chance. No, sleeves are not rolled up right now. If I have to roll those up, I guess that would be Friday morning. Catherine, $20, make it happen. Okay, where was I? Okay, so if you're just joining us, that's the graph model. This is the high-res model again, and just to show you, this makes the point about how difficult it is to forecast this stuff. Look at this, how it comes in white with snow, pink, sleet, freezing rain, and then it's like, why the green now? That doesn't make sense. At the coldest part of the day, before sunrise, it's always where your low is, generally, unless you have some other force coming in. But this is where the model's trying to decide, is this frozen or is it not? Watch as we go forward into 8, 9 o'clock. Now we're seeing snow colors, sleet, freezing rain, steady rain, part sleet, freezing rain, part snow. Same thing for mid-morning, and then changing over to rain as we go through the day. Every model shows that we change over to rain at some point during the day. Let me show you this too, by the way. This is important. This is the last run that I saw of the graph for temperatures. And this makes a point right here. This is really important. The graph in some of these models in winter time period without any sort of precip coming down are going to run a little bit warm for whatever reason. So that shows upper 20s. Well, it was showing numbers like that last night for us, and we went to 23. So it shows 29 here for tomorrow morning, but what we generally do is we take an average of a bunch of models, and then we'll just by experience of watching to see how these things perform different months out of the year. We've dropped down and said, what did I say? I think I said 21 for tomorrow morning. Well, that's a pretty big drop from that. So you've got the graph at 29, GFS, I'm just using tomorrow morning as an example. GFS 28, Euro at 25, and then your blend of models at around 21. So let's just keep that in mind as we go forward. So there's a look at 40s tomorrow. And then as we get into, this is midnight tomorrow night into Friday morning. 31, that's enough to get it done, right? But then watch as we go forward, it starts bumping up, 4 or 5 in the morning, 32, 33. Also, some of these models have been running warm. Also, how many times have I said also? As we look forward on Thursday night into Friday morning on the Euro, showing 29. And a blend of a bunch of different models around 25 at this time. So you can see where the headache comes in is trying to figure that out with these numbers. They're all different. There's 9 in the morning on the graph anyway. This is just the one. 35, and you could, because if you just subtracted a few, you're down to where you needed to be. And then staying somewhere in the 30s. Now, here's where that changeover to warm comes in. So if we have that, let me see if I can find that. Okay. So as the low is coming up, what you should start to see is some warmer air coming in underneath on the bottom of this low as it's tracking across. That's why it's really important as far as where is this low setting up. If it's farther toward the south, then all that warm sector mixing over and all that is down here, and then we're more in the cold zone. But so the timing with the temperature of the day and then also the placement of where this low is going to be is important. And again, there's the question as we get into, take that off. As we get into Friday night, overnight into Saturday morning, you know, another thing to think about, does this get back below freezing? Because if we do change over to rain, then you have to wonder about Saturday morning. Are we looking at black ice, things going to freeze on the road? So that's just one model run of temperatures there. That just kind of gives you an idea, and I hope that kind of explained some of the difficulty in there when you see, again, these numbers. Or again, like tomorrow morning. That's the reason sometimes on TV I'll say, here's a model showing 29, showing 30, but we're going to say low 20s. It's just from experience of watching these things and knowing kind of how they perform in winter months. Let's see, what are some of the questions? What model is trustworthy? I'm going to go with Christy Brinkley. Yeah, that's right, Kay. It's the rain mix that's the concern. Yeah, ice. Let's see. Oh, Mr. Carr. Yeah. Oh, that's right. Let's see. The rainy. It says the opening night is 6. The musical Stratford Friday night. All up show Tuesday. It would be cool to see a little snow. Yeah, working on it. I just call Friday a mess right now because I think Friday morning's a mess. And then I just don't know how the day is going to go because it's going to be so marginal with the temperatures as we go through the day, somewhere in the 30s. You know, if it's one thing if we got up into the 50s or something like that and you're like, oh, okay, we may have something in the morning and then that stuff's going to melt away and then it's game on after that. But it can be very close. Okay, somebody was asking about where that low is going to set up. That's part of the problem is, let's see, there's Friday during the day. If you look down, well, let me get it to where I can, Put a pause right there. All right, so if you watch right here, you see this counterclockwise spin, sort of. That could be the low there. Again, if that low is tracking down here more, then we're on the top side. That's kind of how this works. In a winter storm, you want cold air in play. You want cold air, obviously. You need some sort of rainmaker, a preset maker to come in, and you want it to run underneath you if you're wanting snow or something up top. If it starts to run more into this area, then that pushes the chance more up to the Atlanta area. And then also, as that's coming up, you're going to get some warm air coming up from underneath here during the day Friday, just because of the way it's pulling up like this. So that's the thing. We don't know exactly where the center of that low is going to go, but a little jog a few miles to the south, can make a difference. Somebody say, can you touch on the Thomaston area? Yeah, Thomaston, probably, better shot anywhere the farther north you go. And in the case of that, let's see, there's Upson County there. I think pretty much everybody on this model coming into Friday morning has the same kind of potential. If this turns out to not be right and this is rain, then it's going to be one of those the farther north you go. So I'm kind of thinking at the very least a Macon northward, because not all models are showing all this down here. Warner Robins, same kind of thing, close enough. Again, it depends on which model. So again, keep that in mind. There's that right there. Then we go to the Euro model, and we get a little bit maybe Friday morning, and then after that, just green, just rain. Maddening, isn't it? So when people say, so what's really going to happen? Let's see. Do you see the newest trends going positive for more snow? Not so much yet, Ed. Really what I'm doing is just trying to see if we see a trend in wintry precip period, regardless of whether it's snow, sleet, freezing rain. We're just trying to see if it's something other than rain. And so far, some of the models are kind of holding on with it. I'm interested to see what the next graph and the next high-res model shows. Yeah, come on, Euro model. You expect Friday morning work, school, travel to be impacted terribly? If it plays out the way this model that's on your screen shows, then yeah, that could be a problem driving Friday morning. If that you see on your screen is actually the way this verifies to be, then yeah, we could have maybe some icy roads and some issues like that. Christy, yes, it's all a guessing game. I won't know till it happens. Yeah, we'll know better Saturday, after Friday. See, Donna says, I thought Mr. Kemp closed stuff from north up, and it looks like it's coming right on down South Toomsboro in the local county. That doesn't, again, this is just one model. So like I've been showing you, some of the other models don't show all this down here. That it's mainly kind of Jasper, Putnam County, and then north from there, some of the other models. So it's kind of half and half. Thomas, you're in Salisbury, Maryland? We got Slam Monday, and this one's Saturday. Well, assumptions of school closures. Oh, man, I hate to make that. I'll just say I wouldn't be surprised, also given that it's a Friday, but I don't know. Is Putnam going to lose power? Hope not, Robin. All right, let's see if there are any questions. Oh, just make the call, Ben. They'll listen to you. No, I learned my lesson on that in the late 90s. I had I could have sworn it was the Bibb County school system, and for whatever reason, I guess they couldn't get anybody else. They called and I was on the morning show. Should we cancel? Absolutely. Absolutely, I say you should cancel. You should go cancel all the schools. I would go shut it all down. And then the next morning I'm out there with snow boots in the backyard garden, brand new coat, gloves, looking up, and not one flake all morning out there. You could see it on the sky cams. You could see some flurries out there, but one thing missing was it was so dry at the surface, so much of it was evaporating before it ever hit the ground. Incredibly embarrassing, and I never said shut anything down again. Tyler, can we go back to the wind model and play into early Saturday morning so I can see the Augusta area, please? I don't know if I showed the wind. Let's see. I could put up a wind map for you. If I can find it. Let's see. There's tomorrow. There is Friday afternoon. Where did you say? Augusta? Saturday morning, looks a little breezy. I'd say 20 to 25 out of the northwest. Joseph, we want our kids to go to school. Brother, I get it. I was singing Bing Crosby last week. And Mom and Dad can hardly wait for school to start again. What model you had showing the low pressure before? Oh, that was the temperature. Yeah. So there's midnight tomorrow night, 31, 32, 33, 32, 3 in the morning, 34. But once again, sometimes these models run warm this time of year. I know that this graph has been doing that. Again, it's calling for upper 20s tomorrow morning. And even if you watch like the 11 o'clock show last night, I was saying we should have a low in the morning somewhere in the mid 20s. And at 11 last night, we already had 27 on the board in a couple of spots. So again, these numbers can end up being lower than what we're seeing on the forecast map. A lot of people asking about when the next models drop. They're all at different times. Some of them are hours apart. The high-res model is about every hour. Let's see, this guy right here. But once again, just looking at this, you got to take all of it with a grain of salt. There's 4 in the morning. If that's true, the coldest part of the day coming up, you have snow colors and sleet, freezing rain, wintry mixed colors, and then a weird batch of green, and then a mix of rain with some snow colors and some wintry mixed colors at 8, 9 o'clock in the morning. And so whenever I see this, and it's just all right next to each other, it's just scratching its head trying to figure out what that's going to be. Okay, what time is it? 9:30. Okay, well, I got to get ready for the 10 o'clock show on our CW channel. So join me over there, and then we'll have some new model data hopefully coming in with the 10 and 11, and we'll know a lot more. Now, once we get in, I know you're probably like, well, of course you'll know better tomorrow, but we will, obviously, because the closer in you get, the more these models are picking up and are more honed in on what the reality could end up being for Friday morning. And don't be surprised if we end up looking at these and this all looks different and this is all green and maybe it's just the wintry stuff is up here and we're just looking at a cold rain. But that's that whole thing of an early Friday morning in the wee hours of the morning. A lot of folks have to make a call. You know, we're going to do school or we're going to drive or we're going to go do whatever it is we have to do that morning, or is it just better just stay home? And if it ends up being a bust and it ends up being just a cold rain, then okay, well, at least we were prepared for it. I definitely think if you had any reason to be going to Atlanta or North Georgia, I wouldn't try that, because the confidence for those folks up there is a lot better. Once you get north of I-20, it's a little more concrete there. Actually, there is a lot more concrete once you get north of I-20. Big city. Okay. All right, dudes. Enjoyed it. We will do this again tomorrow a couple of times, and then I will be back at 9 o'clock tomorrow night as well. And we'll see if we're inflating air mattresses upstairs at the station for the long stay or what. But I will see you at 10 o'clock, and then at 11 o'clock if you can't make that. Or do them both. Grab some popcorn. We'll see you.